The Alleghany Journal has found Nancy Newhart at the Alleghany Highlands Arts and Crafts Center, and we have before us a beautiful display of artwork from local high school students. Nancy, tell us a little bit about what is on display here.
It's a three-part exhibit. There's an exhibit of work from Alleghany and Covington High School art students that's a competition, and they compete in 4 or 5 different categories, and there will be prizes awarded at the reception on May 9th from 5 to 7. There's also the second part of the exhibit is work by Annie Waldrop, who is the Artist in Education Residency Artist. That's a program that's co-sponsored by the Art Center and the Virginia Commission for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts. We bring an artist into the high schools to work with the teachers for 10 days. In this case, it was a rolling 10 days because we got hit by a couple of snowstorms in March. But she came in and she worked with the students and created sculpture with them using things that normally you might throw out. So the third part of the exhibit is a portion of the sculptural work that the kids created for the residency exhibit. And they're just wonderfully wild and whimsical.
And we talked a little earlier about some of those sculptures. Mention a couple. They're unique pieces.
Oh, they're wonderful. I would give anything if I could convince you to move the camera back there so we can shoot those.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about those prior to moving the camera.
Okay. What we do is we pay the per diem for the artist to work with the students. She came in and they looked at things online. They looked at other sculptors like Andrew Goldsworthy and a number of other sculptors who work with objects at hand or things that they can find as opposed to carving things out of wood or breaking down things from a piece of marble or putting things together with a welding tool.
This is the ultimate recycling effort.
It is, sort of, yes, or repurposing, as we like to think of it. And so what we did was we had asked people to bring us odd bits of things that out of their junk drawers. We supplied them with wire and tools and so forth. They spent a lot of time looking at things on Pinterest and in art history sites, and then they sat down and they started taking these things apart and recombining them and repurposing them into a whole different way. So we had tinker toys, we had stuffed animals, we had bits of silk flowers, we had glittery things, we had bits of old jewelry, we had tool parts. We have one of my favorites is done with an old pencil sharpener, you know, of the grinding variety as opposed to the electrical variety. And so they just all had to use their imagination. And that's something I think we've sort of forgotten to encourage because everything is presented to you. And some of them started out saying, oh, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this, you know, and the whole idea is that you learn by doing it. So they actually made sculptures. Some of them, a couple of them made an extra one, but they all made at least one sculpture, and we've got about 35 of them here now.
And prior to moving to that scene, can you tell the public what are the Art Center's hours and the
Sure.
days available to see
Sure.
this innovative show?
The Art Center is open 10 to 4:30, Tuesday through Saturday. Beginning May 1st, we are also open on Mondays, 10 to 4:30, and Sundays from 1 to 4.
Let's go see some of those interesting
Cool.
sculptures.
Great.
And Nancy, why don't we talk about the artist in residence a little bit?
Okay. As I said, the Artist in Residence program puts a professional artist in the classroom. It helps expand and enhance the curriculum in the classroom. It gives the teacher a chance to work with a professional artist, and it lets the students be mentored by a professional artist for 10 days. At Covington High School this time, the residency artist was a woman by the name of Annie Waldrop, who is a Roanoke artist. She does both paintings and sculpture. You can see here on my right what she calls her seed pod series, and they're done with that foam sheet that you can find at local art supply stores, and it's just been reconfigured out of a flat sheet form into seed pods and seeds, and with stitching and wrapping and pinning and wild colors. So part of her interest is in taking natural forms and reinventing them into another material. She also paints, and as a painter, she likes, again, to work with nature, but she also has a series of paintings that reflect her upbringing or growing up years when she was a true child in the 60s. And so we have a piece with the Beatles and Yogi and Boo Boo Bear and Frosty the Snowman, and just those wonderful alphabet letters that we had as a kid, maybe on the door to identify ourselves to the rest of the world, and lots of bright color.
This is really interesting and innovative stuff.
Glad you think so. She'd be tickled.
And Nancy, what do we have here?
We have a piece by Sammie Anchors. It is a type of robotic-looking figure, and I'm going to try and rotate it so you can see it all the way around and hope it all holds well together. It has been made with, I'm not quite sure what this white thing was, maybe a dish drainer. There's a little piece of mat board in here. There are 4 cassette tapes that deal with the planets, the inner planets, the outer planets, the Earth, Moon, and something about the solar system. So it's sort of appropriate for a futuristic piece. It has a light bulb in it. It has a hose from a CPAP machine, a couple of CDs, and a watch. And a carabiner to sort of hold everything together, and some wire. And I think Sammie has done a wonderful job of combining some really disparate elements. If I can grab this and still keep it upright. There's even a big giant screw eye in there. It's just a mishmash of things, but it becomes very much like a figure with arms extended. And I think using the CDs or the cassettes that he did really sort of pushes it, if you look at it carefully with the details, into a whole space complex.
Very interesting.
This is Benny Elmore's piece. It's a sort of monster hero figure, I'm not sure which. Benny started out working with one of those plastic action figures that was either a Spider-Man or a some sort of hero. So it has one male leg, but there was also a Barbie in the collection. And so there's a Barbie leg. And he took those parts apart from their separate bodies, recombined them, put them into a figure, and then the figure grew an elephant head, which has all been sprayed. But if I can do this gently, you can also pull up the mask and see the colors underneath the mask. But I think one of the coolest things about it is that this whole sense of gender identification has been enhanced by the fact that the arms are now a king and a queen from a chess set. So not only do we have the matched, unmatched legs, but the matched, unmatched arms. And one of the other students took the other 2 legs and made a sort of transgender dinosaur with flowers and a tail and a seahorse head and who knows what else.
You have to admit, you have quite a show here.
I've got a great show.
This is unlike almost anything you've ever presented before.
It's more fun than 6 Barrels of Monkeys because there's more than monkeys. There's just this wild imagination that kids often don't celebrate in themselves.
Well, it's another fine program that you've put on here at the Alleghany Highlands Arts and Crafts Center. And I'm sure you look forward to the public joining you and visiting.
We hope the show will be up through May 15th. We hope that everyone will come and see it. In the meanwhile, there's a public reception, as I say, on May 9th from 5 to 7. The kids will be here, the teachers will be here, there'll be some local officials here, but most of all, we're going to get to ask the kids everything we ever wanted about these pieces of sculpture when they come, because they're just great. Like, where did they get the ideas for this? And they just turned those brains of theirs loose, and they went nuts with them. I've never seen a better use of Tinker Toys and wooden spoons and heaven only knows, stuffed animals, minions, little minions turned into eyeballs. You got to look at each one of them separately.
Thanks for taking the time to join us.
Glad to do it. Thanks for coming.